Che Che.
Hello, hello.
Che 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 Che.
What up, what
Mate,
up, what
I
up,
love
what up?
saying your name like a bunch of times.
It's short enough that it makes sense.
Um, are you named after Che Guevara?
I am. I
What's the
am.
what's the story there?
So fun fact, and it brings together the times right now. My grandmother was a Black Panther, and she
Go
raised.
grandmama.
Yeah. My grandma was tough. I have a lot of stories about my grandma doing like real gangster stuff. So she raised my dad and his uncle with very like strict values about what they're supposed to do for their community and about causing the uprising, the revolution. And so when my dad had me, I was his first son. He told my mom that he wanted to give me a strong name that evoked some sort of revolutionary figure. And my mom was like, "All right, what do you got?" And he said, "I want to either name him Huey after Huey Newton or Che after Ernesto Che Guevara." And my mom was like, "Huey, and so and so Che is the name that I got. Uh,
I mean, objectively speaking, Huey doesn't really carry the same kind of like impact, just as a
I don't
standalone name,
but
right?
like I feel like that picture of Huey Newton sitting down with the shotgun in his hand is like one of the most prolific photos ever. Either way, to be honest, I was gonna have an upward battle as a kid. You don't understand how hard it was to explain to people that like my name was Che. That's it, not Chester, not Cheswick. It's not short for cherry bomb, just Che.
Did you get a lot of that? What's it short for?
Oh, tons, man, tons.
Mate, who thought it was short for cherry bomb?
I can't tell you where I was or what profession was happening at the time, but Cherry Bomb would not have been a name that was too outlandish.
All right, mate. Well, look, this is the perfect start for this podcast because you've got the revolutionary name.
Yeah.
So we'll all just look to you, mate. What we doing? What we doing, man? What's next?
Man, I am. I don't know if I've ever been more like excited about an upcoming election than I've been now. It's amazing to see my news feed on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook be so many people who weren't politically motivated or active just care about what's happening from the federal government all the way down, man. Like I'm really excited about the future of what could happen.
Yeah, man. And when you think about elections, then what kind of gets you going? It's more local with you, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, man. I don't get me wrong. Like I remember like the first Obama election because it was the first one I could vote in, and like how exciting that was, and how historic that was, and being a kid and kind of like not understanding the Bush Gore election of going one person got more votes but one person won. That's weird. Like, and now it's become commonplace. But like for me, I don't think people understand like the local stuff, man, is what like brings you so much more. You know what I mean? Like so much more opportunity comes from your local government than people even think of.
Yeah, right. I mean, I suppose as well, like, at least for me, and it's the same back where I'm from in Great Britain, the UK. Um, when I'm thinking of the election to like, figure out who's going to be prime minister, who's going to be president, and when it comes to like time to vote, like obviously everyone is, especially nowadays, everyone's on Twitter, like you gotta vote. It's not even sort of persuading someone to vote this way or that way. It's just like, you must have your say. But then there are kind of a bunch of people that's like, it doesn't make any difference. And a vote for anyone is a vote for the system, or it's a vote that kind of says things are okay, the system works. We just need to pick which one of these two Muppets is going to run the country. And I can't, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. But then, I can also really see though that when it's on a local level, and you're going to be way more clued up on this than me, it feels like you really do have an influence though, to move money around, to move power around, to look after the people that you want to look after, and kind of like fund or fuel the projects that you want to kind of lift up.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you ever, or like you watch South Park, right? Like, which
Of
I think is
course.
just an amazing show. They did a whole season long like bit about an election, and they were like, "Look, all right, we have two choices. It's either a giant douche or a turd sandwich." And I thought that one that was amazing. but I reckon most people would look at a lot of our elections and go like, those are your choices. Someone you like vehemently stand against, and someone like you kind of agree with, and there's that group that's like, vote for neither, stick it to the man. And like the sad reality is like, newsflash, you're not sticking it to anyone. If only 10 people showed up to vote, those 10 people decide who's in charge, right?
Yeah.
You know, unless you go to the full extent of like burn it all down, which is another conversation. But I think that like, you know, what you said hits around the head, right? Like on a federal level, you're voting for a person that can figure out how to corral 50 sovereign nations, right? Like the president of the United States is the person who's in charge for like international relations, but like your governor decides what you do in California, and same for me in Massachusetts, right? But on a state and local level, like one person literally can move a mountain. And that sounds cliche. That sounds like something that I'm giving you from like a Disney movie or something. But it's the honest to God truth. Like I've seen it, right? Like one person who's passionate about something can literally change the landscape for a city. And I think that like more people need to be in tune with that, because and you know what, to give people credit, I think you're seeing that a lot with the conversation around police brutality right now, right? Like you're seeing a lot more people pay attention and call for, you know, less money or more money in some situations, or for rule changes that don't allow for certain things to happen again. So I think it's a good step in the right direction of people getting like, you know what, we can make something go.
Yeah, it feels like the cogs are starting to turn for a lot of people. Do you see then, it's interesting, man, like a bit of a correlation between this idea, okay, of, you know, like there's talk of, well, no, the police force in Minneapolis is being completely abolished, right?
Yes.
It's being abolished. You know, I guess that's what I'm talking about with politics. You know, is there a way that the same sort of thought could be applied to that? You know, because for me, it's like, okay, you got the police force, and if you defund them a little bit, or you know, ask them really nicely to stop, like being brutal, you know, can you make some progress? That's kind of like the argument. Is it enough, or you can completely get rid of it, you know, and tear it down? And I guess what I'm saying is, I wonder if the same kind of thought or logic could be applied to politics and the way that system works. But look, I'm very aware that if there is no alternative, and we were talking about this before, you know, with the kind of like abolition of the police force in Minneapolis, yeah. I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. You know what I mean? I'm all for this. But then I suddenly realized that it's like, it's all very well me saying that, but I haven't actually spent much time like researching any alternatives, you know? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's what's important, right? It's like you need some alternatives across the board if you are going to start kicking the stool out from that man.
I think that first off, like the idea of abolishing police sounds like such a foreign idea, you know, like what do you mean, and how does that work? And I think even in Minneapolis, like they're still trying to figure that out, right? How long does that take, and what sort of impact does that have on the community? But I think that you learn about these different like micro communities that figure some of this stuff out. And the question is just like, not can it happen, but can it work at a larger scale, right? Like I remember I learned about this place in school that was in Colombia, and the place was called Gaviotas, right? Mm-hmm. And in theory, it was a perfect utopian society, right?
This is real. This is a
real place. Real actual place. Yep. You can Google it, look it up, right? Like it's a place that is, it was formed. People all had a job to do. Everyone had food. Everyone had a job. Everyone had a place to live. Like it was socialism in its purest form, right? And the question when we learned about it was like, does it sound good to you? And most people said, yeah, right? Everyone has a job. Everyone has food. Everyone has a purpose. That sounds great. And the question was, well, could it work in the U.S.? And immediately people were like, no, because everyone has their own special interest, right? Actually, and I hope this person is not listening at all to this one podcast. One of my classmates, whose names I forget, gave the worst answer I've ever heard to a question. And the question was like, you know, could you see this utopia happening? And her response was like, look, I'm from Florida, and like we're known for oranges, and like if in order to be utopia, like I could never have an orange again, I would totally give up oranges. And I will never forget that, because it was like the scene in Billy Madison where you were just like, that was the single worst answer I've ever heard. But nonetheless, like the thought process for me, to your point, is like, all right, let's say someone says burn down the political system, and everyone's like, yeah. And it happens, right? Cool. No leaders, no president, no governor, no, just blank slate, right? Who gets to decide what happens? Is it going to be a countrywide vote? Who sets up the vote? Who? Let's say they all vote for a person. Is that person in charge? Is everything taken to a countrywide vote? Like, it sounds good on paper, but like in practice, how do you do that? Is there like a committee? The committee decides? Does that mean they have more power? Does their voice matter more? Sounds a lot like government to me.
Yeah, it does, mate. And stop asking me all these questions, because I don't bloody know. Mate, you're the expert. You're supposed to be the one with the answers,
dude, I'm definitely not the expert, man. I'm trying to figure this out as I go too, bro.
You're at least the smarter one out of the two of us, right?
Yes. I am definitely the brain, and you're definitely Pinky. That's no question.
I thought I was going to be the beauty.
Yeah, I'm the beast. That's cool. That works as well.
I'm not even the beauty anymore, mate. I mean, again, with us two, comparing us two, I'm probably not the beauty anyway. I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But now, since quarantine has hit, my weight is shooting up.
There we go. Pumping iron, huh? Getting big, getting those muscles going.
Nah, not with the muscles, mate. But by the way, how was the popcorn chicken?
Oh man, it was delicious. It was delicious. It's one of the top 5 ways to eat chicken. Popcorn.
I love popcorn chicken. That's definitely up there for me.
Yeah, it's great.
Some hot wings and some popcorn chicken.
Oh, you're speaking my language now.
But mate, yeah, seriously, like going back to what we're talking about. I mean, I agree, because you know, this is what I always think about as well. It's all very well kind of like tinkering around with systems or tearing things down and starting again. But if the people, in the place that you're doing this stuff, it doesn't have the mental capacity for it yet, it won't make any difference, right? Surely things will kind of go back to how they always are. And I think we definitely, continue to live in a society that's kind of dominated by like ego. It's kind of, by kind of like selfishness and, like just wanting material possessions and all that kind of thing. And I think in order, there's a lot of trust, isn't there? If you've got no police force, and something and the shit hits the fan, like what's going to happen? And I suppose it's like, if you did go through what you could describe as like a bit of a spiritual revolution, and everybody suddenly became kind of like way more or felt way more connected to their surroundings, and there was a lot of love in the air, then yeah, maybe these kinds of ideas would work. But if people aren't on that level, I don't, maybe it's not enough just to be like, well, the police force are bad, so we'll just get rid of them. But I mean, look, talking about Minneapolis though, and sorry, mate, I know you're about to say something.
You're good.
What are do you know what they're planning for an alternative?
So one thing I want to touch on before that is that I think that one of the toughest things we have to do as a people in general is understand that like failing is okay, right? I think failing like with people's lives is an issue, right? Like people shouldn't have to die for you to go, we have to change the system, right? But like seeing something not necessarily work is fine. Like there's that Samuel Beckett quote. Samuel Beckett, I think it was, right? He was like, fail, try again, fail better. And like I love that, right? Like there's something beautiful about that. Like, okay, you didn't get exactly where you wanted to go, but you made progress, and progress is that. It's progress. It's great. And some would argue that, if something really hit the fan, right, then yes, maybe you want like a heavy to come in, whether that's police or whoever, right? But some would go, you know what? If the systems are in place and they're working the right way, and people have social services and people have opportunities and outlets, then things may not hit the fan.
Yeah.
Right. And that I think is part of like the ongoing cry, right? It's like we as a country are very much prepared for the country to hit, for anything to hit the fan, right? We have the best military in the world. We have a well-funded police force. But some would argue like maybe we should put things in place so like things don't hit the fan, and then we don't have to worry about overfunding or something to that effect.
Well, dude, and you know, I think there's a great argument to say as well that like by creating the most powerful military you can, you're setting an intention that stuff's going to hit the fan, and it kind of does. You know, it's like if you walk around the streets angry, you're way more likely to get into a fight than if you're kind of more chilled out. You know, and I know that's like probably being a bit reductive, but I do agree with that. So what, like, do you know what they are gonna?
Yeah. So no, they're not totally sure what they're gonna do yet. But what they've committed to is this: in the short term, they're gonna continue to have a police department, right? But that most of their 911 calls aren't like, you know, like the show Cops. Like most of their 911 calls are like mental health things or medical emergencies. So when it comes to funding, they want to prioritize that. You know, you see a lot of people crying for like more counselors and more folks that can come in, you know, more EMTs, you know, folks that can deal with someone that's having a heart attack, that's having a stroke, that's having a seizure, and folks that can talk to somebody who's gone through trauma or going through some sort of situation and get them the wraparound services that they need. But that like having someone come in who's a traditional cop, like you may not need that person, you know, for all the calls that you get, but acknowledging that like, yeah, you're going to have some calls where you need that person. Like, what does that look like? What does their training look like? How do you know, put more training hours or, you know, new opportunities for them to learn, you know, de-escalation tactics. You know, I think that, and all of that is good, right? Like that's the conversation you want to have, right? Like, you know, if your only tool is a hammer, every problem's a nail. So how do you make sure that people have multiple tools to use so that everything isn't just getting hit in?
Yeah, I'm down, man, and I'm into this. You know, I think this is great, and I'm one of those people that it sort of backs just like ripping stuff down as much as possible, to be honest. But yeah, I think it needs it. You can still do that smartly and with balance. You know, so I don't think you need to go in like smashing everything up, but you need to be like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You know, you're powerful. You can take everyone out. But you work, you know, use people's power against them, and you never lose control. You know, I think that's the way. You see, mate, I am smart, bro. I just don't have the vocabulary to pull it off sometimes.
You have the accent though, and that's what matters, right? Like no matter what you say, it just sounds like intellectually savvy to everyone here.
But that is wonderful because it's not how it sounds in my head, bro. But as long as that doesn't matter, as long as I look and sound intelligent and like my life is great on Instagram, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I love the people who are gonna like see that we're doing a podcast on Instagram, and they're gonna be like, Che and Jimmy, they're gonna talk about crazy like debauchery and like cribs. They're gonna talk about travels and free stuff. And we got on like, all right, so let's talk about government and politics and reassessing the guidelines for the police system.
In it, well, it's more like me just going, okay, let's talk about stuff I know absolutely nothing about, but you do a bit, and I'll try and keep up. But Che, we are going to talk about all that dumb shit. It is coming. You know, again, I just think that it maybe feels a little bit irresponsible to just start with that. Do you know what I mean? Welcome to fucking Jackass, Jimmy and Che.
We would have the best season of Jackass.
Yeah, no we really would.
Me, you, Booger. Oh man, the things that Booger would do on Jackass. I just big shout to Booger.
No, I mean, no one is going to know what you're talking about with Booger. Booger is Che's pet name for Emmett, the podcast producer.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's probably hoping and praying that doesn't stick. Because I don't know how.
I like that, huh? That booger doesn't stick. What?
Doesn't stick like when you flick a booger at the wall.
Oh man, I need you to drop like a crazy sound effect right there. That's what I need. I need something wild right there.
The sound effect would just be like picking a really wet booger. Like that. Okay, you see, mate. Again, self-fulfilling prophecy, man. You're just like America with their military. You talk about how you want the podcast to be like debauched, and then look what happens, straight into booger talk.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
But mate, another reason I do want to talk about, you know, it's about police brutality and all that, man, is because obviously, like, you know, I care, definitely care, want to know what I as a person and Sequels as a brand can do, and I'm, you know, so I'm just looking, learning, and talking about it as much as possible. But dude, it's everywhere, isn't it? Like, it's dominating, like the last couple of weeks, and let's include COVID in that as well, have been so, regardless of like the tragedy and the sadness, because obviously that is the main, that's the like top of the pile. You've got to acknowledge that, like, it's horrific. But beyond that, mate, just for anyone looking in, whether you are like the most beautiful person ever created or a bit of an evil bastard, life is like a frazzle, man. It's like a complete kind of like head fuck. But I was thinking about that, mate. Is it actually, is life like wild and crazy, or is it just that we're waking up to how fucked up stuff has been for a while, and we're suddenly starting to go like, you know, but people have been getting killed by the police for a long time, and obviously, like, I have always known that that's wrong, but this time does feel different, man. It feels like a lot more people are going, hang on a minute, what the like, what? You know what I mean? This cannot happen. You know, so what do we think, man? Are we really starting to wake up this time? Are things really changing? Feels like it could.
I've talked to a lot of friends about this, about like why this time sort of feels different, and I think it's like the perfect recipe for like things to have finally hit this like revolutionary time. You know, we as a country, right? Like, we haven't been all on the same page since like the Revolutionary War, where we beat, you know, your country.
Please tell me, you've got more to this point, or you
no,
setting yourself up for that little
No. I just wanted, in case anyone,
because you know I have zero national pride, right? You do know that about me.
I know.
I give zero shits about flags, national anthems, or football violence.
You guys came out here in your cool red coats and thought you were gonna do something, and we were all like, "All right, bro, we'll see." Anyway, but like really,
it's a
right?
bit like when me and you had that free throw competition.
Oh yeah, man, free throws. I'm like Shaquille O'Neal with the free throws, but it's cool. You know, we'll get back to it. It was the Austin Sun. It was hot, whatever. Look, anyway, so
missed the free throw and just go and smash the backboard like Shaquille. I ain't playing no more. Fuck you, Jimmy.
You know, the 8 weeks of COVID, it was like nothing else was on the news, right? It was every day COVID numbers, what state or city is the most sick, and then it was like everyone's sick. Don't get sick. Don't get grandma sick. Don't get the young kids sick. Let's make sure they're home from school. Does everyone have food? Let's figure out food pantries. Who needs to get, like that? That's what it was, right? Everyone looking out for each other. And then we hit this point as a country where we were kind of like, we're bored of COVID. just like with the most American answer. It was like, nah, what else is on? And it was like, open things up, open it up, open up the country. And then you started seeing the divide, right? Like, people were like, open it up. And people were like, whoa, go in the house. And then it was like, we don't have to wear masks. No, totally wear masks. Wait, do we have to wear masks? And again, the divide got larger. And then some states, Georgia, were like, we're going to open up. Cool, we're opened up. And it's like, right as they're opening up, news breaks about Ahmaud Arbery, right? Who was killed back in February. But in them somehow, you can chalk it up to COVID or just, racism, but like it got brushed under the rug, right? But it comes out during this time and you're like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, these people, like, who are these people? Why would they do this? It's a horrible thing. And then the Breonna Taylor story comes out and you're like, wait, what? This woman was in her house hanging out and all of a sudden the cops came in? What? This happens a bunch? There's so many instances of Black women being killed in their homes. What's going on? And yet you're still getting COVID. Are we opening up? Are we not? What phase will open up? Can I make money? Am I getting my stimulus check? And then you get this video of this man being killed by an officer who is laying there in anguish and in pain and isn't just, it's not a shooting where it happens immediately, right? And someone says, I feared for my life, and you go, okay, that, it's possible to be afraid. That's that. It's not something that isn't captured on camera, so you're only hearing it secondhand, and you can't really have the apathy. I mean, you can't really have the sympathy or the compathy for it. America, the world, watched this one person literally have the life squeezed out of his body for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Call out for his mother, who's been long gone. Like you're a grown man, I'm a grown man. When's the last time you called out for your mom for something? You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of, situation he was just in. And I think that what made this different is that everyone had to watch it, right? Like it became this, like everyone saw this person die in front of them. There was no denying it. There was no talking around it. There was no like, well, what if? Like, no, that was it. That happened. And so I think that as a collective, there was like, how does this happen? And that's where a lot of the anger comes from, you know? And it's super sad because you're like, this man died for nothing. But you now have this cause that's grown and sparked through his death. And hopefully because of this one person's death, hundreds of more Black men and women won't die because of a system that turns the other cheek and doesn't care. And like, I think that's it's like a weird poetic justice, you know, like it's a horrible tragedy, but to see so many people, Black, white, brown, any color, any sex, gender identity, any creed, come together and say like, no, like we matter, our voices matter, you're gonna hear them, you're gonna hear what we have to say, and this won't happen again. I think that's beautiful, man. Like that's something, you know.
Yeah, mate. I mean, beautifully put, by the way. But it's so true, and it's, you know, of course it's messed up, man. That it's like it took something like that to be the catalyst that we're talking about. But and again, it feels even weird putting it like this, but it seems like it's almost like exactly that needed to happen to slap us, or begin to slap us out of just the way things are at the minute. You know, if anything other than that particular George Floyd like awful tragic event happened, would we still, you know, would it be enough to kind of like you know, tip us over that point? And I know, man, yeah, like just watching that video again, man, I think like that's it. It's like everybody, it's that feeling of helplessness that you were talking about, you know. You know, obviously it's like if you're a Black person, the weight that feeling will carry on top of just anyone looking at it is like far greater. But even for people who aren't Black, it's like, oh my God, you know, maybe people are relating it to like just feelings in their own lives when they felt like smaller, vulnerable, like held down and helpless, and it is literally the worst thing. And yeah, just watching that, man, you just wish that you could like rugby tackle the dude, or you know, right. Or it could have just gone a different way, because right. He just slowly disappears, man. It's right. You know, it's really sad.
And you know what, again, you know, you talk about this system that's in place for a lot of people, like you know, and time in and time out, and it's like, you watch that video and one of your first thoughts is, if I was there, I'd have tackled that guy. I'd have got him off him. I would have done more. And it's easy to say in hindsight, but it's so hard to know what you actually would do. You know, like I've been, you know, as a young Black man, I've been stopped and frisked by police in New York City and in other cities when I was doing nothing, walking, living, yeah. You know, and you know, you get into this period where you're like, you know, I've seen what happened to Sean Bell and Amadou Diallo and Eric Gardner and so many other Black men in the city I grew up in. And so you kind of get in this point where you're like, look, man, just please don't bother me today.
Yeah,
you
of course.
know what I mean? Like I hope that when I leave the house and say bye to my mom and my brother, that I come back. Period.
Yeah.
In one piece, in many pieces, whatever. I just hope that I come back and I'm alive. Yeah. And like, you know, you've heard so many like mothers talk about that fear, you know, or like having the talk with their son, saying that like, look, the rules are different for you, and you're gonna have to abide by them. You don't have to understand them. They're not gonna be great. You know, they shouldn't even be the rules, but they are what they are, and I need you to follow them to make sure you come back home to me. Yeah. And I got that talk young, and so it's like, it's crazy to think about like how now it's becoming more common knowledge that like Black women have had this talk with their sons for centuries, you know, and like, it is what it is.
Mate, it is, and it's messed up, bro, because even, you know, you're talking about that just walking around the street, right? It's not like a policeman's in front of you and your mum's pulled you to the side and been like, look, just, you know, watch out when you walk past this guy. It's right. Like, no, it's you know, constantly in the back of your head. And dude, exactly that, man. It's like you're like, oh my god, imagine I was just there and I could rugby tackle the dude. But the reality is, if for a black man or a black woman, if they had rugby tackled any one of them cops, I'd say the chances of them just getting shot like straight away are.
Of there being two dead people.
Yeah, and that's anyone listening can plainly see that's zero exaggeration. Like, I would say that is easily the most likely thing that would have happened if anyone had put their hands on those cops. They're getting taken down. All right, if it's a white dude, maybe they're not getting shot instantly, based on kind of what we've seen. But yeah, if you're black, like, fuck that, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's terrifying. But okay, dude, so if we are then talking about, the Minneapolis police, thinking of a new idea in its place, because this is what I'm thinking, right? Yeah. It's like, what could you do to an existing police force to really make enough of a change where you are kind of getting rid of this like racism that just seems like a complete part of it? It's difficult, man, but I fail to see it happening like that. For me, it's like you need to build something new from the ground up, and it has to involve the exact groups of people. All groups of people need to have a say in it, and you almost need to build this new entity that are down with everyone, Like, I mean, I don't know, like in this country, like people are cool with the fire department, right? No one's got a problem with the fire department. You know what I mean? There's no, like, the fire department don't have a problem with like a certain group of people, right? They don't. It doesn't seem like it.
I mean, like people who like fires, I'm pretty sure. Pyromaniacs don't get like along with the fire department.
And they're not a massive fan of smokers when they're out, out in the nature.
Besides that,
in nature.
Besides that, yeah, everyone else is cool.
So my point being, bro, right? That's what you need to do. You need to build something new that everybody fucks with, everybody's down for, or as best they can. Obviously, if you're going to do a crime, you're going to come up against resistance, right?
It's funny though, real quick, not to cut you off, but something you said I think is interesting. You said, to figure out how to do this, how to get rid of racism in that situation, we got to like build something new. And I think that's part of the issue, right? It's like, I can't speak to which cop is racist or which firefighter is racist or which governor is racist. I mean, some governors let the world know they're racist, but like without them talking, I have no idea, right? The fact is that like, there's a system in place that oppresses certain people, right? That makes you look at certain people as victims and certain people as perpetrators. That makes you look at certain people as voters and certain people as, in like the degenerates. That make you look at certain people as fine, upstanding citizens observing their Second Amendment versus thugs. I think were the situations that our president brought up. And I think about that, and like that to me is the system, right? When someone has a gun and they are an upstanding person and someone else has a gun and they're a thug, regardless of what they're standing for, there's the problem. And so like, I don't know if necessarily like breaking something down and building it back up fixes it, because like, you don't know people's intent, right? There are people who I thought were like really cool, chill people. And then over the last 4 years, I found out they were racist. And I was like, where's this been? You were chill. We played ball together. We ate meals together. We were always cool. Now all of a sudden, you're racist, or you're sexist, or you're homophobic. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And so it's like.
But do you think like the racism is its own entity apart from the system? Because it feels like I was listening to Hindi Andrews, right, on Russell Brand podcast, and he's basically talking about how racism and capitalism go hand in hand, and they kind of have grown together. And it's actually the way that like the economy on a global level works that is kind of is like bred racism. Like that's the kind of you know, placing like financial status and money and material things at the top of everyone's agenda has given rise to this idea of like stepping on whole groups of people or whole countries in order to get what you need out of them, you know. So part of me, mate, I'm with you, man. Like, I don't know if you can make something new and then all the racist people in the world will suddenly be like, oh, that looks all right, I'll stop being racist now. We might just have to wait for them to die, mate. Seriously, we might. But do you not see any value in, or you know, do you, when I talk about capitalism and racism, does that kind of like set anything off with you? Do you think, yeah, that sounds about right? And if so, do we not think that keeping half an eye on building something new could mean that going forward, we are not living in a society where we promote things, power, money, status over like people's fucking lives?
There's no question that in order to have capitalism, you have to have racism, right? Like they totally go hand in hand. That's a thing, you know. It's capitalism that teaches you that if you are with a friend and there are 3 cookies, that you should have all 3 cookies, right? Like that's capitalism, right? Like I was faster, I was stronger, so they're mine. I was smarter, so I got them, right? Like you hope human nature is like, well, maybe we each get one and we split one and now everyone's happy, right? And then it's like, well, no, I'm a bigger person, I need to eat more. That person's hard. Like you start to separate yourself based on these made up fabricated things that may not, you know, on paper mean anything, but that we add value to, right? We were having a similar conversation about like fashion, right? And it's like, I have on this $10,000 jacket. I'm more important than you because I have on a $200 white t-shirt. Your white t-shirt costs $5. Broke person hasn't. You know what I mean? It's like we put weight into these ridiculous things, and we're all guilty of it. You know what I mean? I'd buy way more sneakers than I probably should. Yeah. But again, you know, you have this system, and then eventually, you know, you have one of the best explanations of, for me, capitalism is like, you look at, in general, like really wealthy capitalist white folk, right? The top 1% of our country, which is mainly like white men, right? At some point, the American dream that they thought that they've achieved, so to speak, right? Which can't be attained by everybody, starts to become this thing that creates a divide amongst that people. So then you have these poor white folk who are like, wait, why is it that I can't attain this wealth? And you can't go, well, it's because we have all the money, right? That's gonna mess you up, right? You need to give a different explanation. So you say, well, you would have more if these other people didn't take what's yours, right? Not that I have 200, 300 billion dollars or whatever the case may be. That's not why you have no money. You don't have money because these people are working under the table trying to make ends meet, and these people are milking the system, getting free this and that, and eventually that's where that mentality, that ideology comes from. It's like there's not enough for everyone, so you have to pit people against each other. And the easiest thing to argue about is the color of someone's skin, because you know what? That's obvious. You don't have to know me to know that I'm darker than you are, right? So like it's easy to make that person the enemy, and it's messed up, man. It's fucked. It's so ridiculous, but like that's how capitalism continues to thrive.
Yeah, mate, it's rotten to the core. But the way you're talking there, though, man, it's like, well, look, if we do really, really, really want things to really change, surely, you know, and capitalism, like it's a global thing. You know, you can talk about capitalism, or just like the way things work, all being based about money. You know, it's all kind of ego, money, power, having as much as possible. So when you're saying what you just said there, it sounds like, you know, the answer has to be, we need a new system. Like, we need radical change. And to that end, it's like, well, that must include the police force, that must include the political system, that, you know, it's got to include everything, right? But I suppose, and, you know, I don't expect that me and you will come up with with all the answers on how to make everything better right here, right now, because you've already said that you're way smarter than me. But, you know, these things that we're starting to see happening, police force getting abolished, like that to me seems like at least the right sort of thinking, you know? But when you're talking about politics and voting, you know, what do you see a way of like kind of just working your way up from the inside, using what's already there to make these huge, massive changes. Because at some point, dude, if we really want things to change, and you know, not just people in our own countries getting mistreated, which obviously like we need to sort out, but people across the world, you know, again on a global level, it's not just like certain people in a particular part of town getting stepped on or a particular part of the city. It's like, you know, whole countries as well. And they're getting stepped on so that we can have like a fucking iPhone or something like that. So at some point, you know, we've got to chuck our iPhones in the river with that bloody statue in Bristol. Take the whole thing down, Che. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
I love that. That's one of my favorite threads of this whole thing, of people being like, you know what? You know that racist statue in Town Square? And people are like, oh yeah, that guy was hella racist. And people are like, yo, fuck that statue. And they're just going and tearing them down.
Going in. Dude,
I'm all for that.
Yeah, me too. I love it. It's brilliant, obviously. Like, but then there are people protecting it. And look, to be honest, this is kind of bad because these people are from my bloody country. But it seems, have you seen on Twitter? It's essentially like firms, you know, like football firms. Yeah. So for all my American fans listening, a football firm are the fanatical group who support a particular football club or a soccer club, and they just really like to have a scrap. They like nothing more than to fight. You know, all good. Have a fight on the weekend. Don't involve me. You do your thing. I don't mind. But protecting these statues, Che.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because like in our country, we also have people that are protecting these statues. They're called racists. And for all of our fans who don't know what that is,
tell them, Che.
A person hates another person because of the trivialness that is the color of their skin, and they're the worst people. So, you know, for anyone who needed that one.
Bro, what about our TV show based on the statues, based on NBC's? No, what do we call it? NBC Dateline, How to Catch a Racist.
How to Catch a Racist. Yep. Yep. I think that's a multi-billion-dollar idea.
It's a brilliant show because think of all the good we could do. I mean, it started when we were talking about these statues, right, that are like getting decapitated. Christopher Columbus got his head knocked off. That's pretty great. The other, I can't remember the guy's name in Bristol who got chucked in the river.
Oh, me neither. But he like had like was the reason like the slave trade started, wasn't that it? That was the guy.
Yeah. Because he also has a like a whole like little square, you know, like a kind of town square named after him as well. Yep. But yeah, we were talking about collecting all these statues, decapitated statues, statues that have been chucked in rivers, statues that got graffiti all over them, and having an exhibition. And then we called it, what did we call it? Symbols of racism.
Symbols of racism.
But I said that could be misconstrued, and people might just think that we like really like swastikas or something, and that's what they're going to see. But then Che said that's brilliant because you might attract a bunch of racists. Right. So I think if we can make it like the How to Catch a Predator, we could be onto something, mate.
Just also thinking, right? Like, let's say for some reason an executive doesn't like that idea, which like fire that executive because this is gold. What if instead, or in addition, it was literally like How to Catch a Predator, but for racists? Like someone shows up thinking they're showing up to like a Klans meeting, and then a black version of Chris Hansen walks out, and he's like, "Hey there, how's it going, Bubba?" And he's just like, "Whoa, what's this black guy doing here?" And he's like, "Why don't you have a seat?"
I love it, dude. And like, just get a bunch of Confederate flags on the house.
Exactly.
So that when they're driving closer in their truck, because they're always in a bloody truck,
they're just like, "Oh man, what am I own? This is totally fine."
Yeah, this is definitely the house. And then before they know it, mate, the black version of Chris Hansen, who's just said, what does he all say? Like, you know what? You can go if you want.
You can go. Yeah, you can.
And they're like, "Thank fuck for that, man. I'm out of here. That was a close one." Then they get tackled by a bush.
Exactly. Boom, Bush guy out of nowhere. And you know what? The Bush guy's black. Boom, mic drop. I think we did something.
I do, mate, too. And I love the way that we have we've based a show about racists on a show about pedophiles.
I mean, to be fair,
they deserve each other.
All we did was remove the P in rapist and put the letter C in there, you know?
Mate, it's so deep, bro.
I'm just saying. We should make so much more money. It doesn't make any sense.
We should, mate. Down with these statues. I think
Yeah.
breaking these statues is hilarious. People are getting called out left, right, and center as well. Have you been seeing any of this?
Oh yeah.
Dude, what? Oh my God, have you been watching any like Karen activity
Oh
online?
man, Karens are some of my favorite people.
Yeah, right. But what's interesting is that the recently Karen, I mean, like most sort of like stereotypical Karens seem to definitely fall into that racist category more often than not. Just blanket talk. But recently it's been very kind of like racism focused, if you've noticed. Like the woman threatening to call the cops on the black guy in the Central Park.
Oh, in Central Park, man. You know what's crazy?
And then
man?
just strangling her dog for for extra effect. Like fuck, she means it.
What's wild is, so I grew up not far from that part of Central Park. You know what I mean? And I've walked through that area where like people go bird watching and such in the park.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that video, first of all, I was like, yo, this hits home. Like I know exactly where this is. But what struck me the most about that Karen activity was that two things. One, she didn't say a black guy is like attacking me or anything. She specifically was like an African American, right? So she had the politically correct rhetoric to describe this person, right? And then people started pulling up some of her like voting like records, and she was like a true blue, apparently like Democrat. And it got me because like over the last 4 years, especially since Trump's been in office, there's this like belief that like, well, there's the Trump supporting people, and then there's like the other people, the liberals who get it. Yeah. And it was like, no, here's this person, this beacon of liberalism, who understands that this African American fellow is here, and like, nah, like you're racist.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my God.
It's true. It seems, and that's scary though, bro, right? Because it seems so deep rooted. Because you know what? Like after these things have happened, and I saw another one real recently where there's this, there's a Karen. And by the way, I love the way that you have now referred to it as Karen activity as well. That's sticking. But there's another one where this white middle-aged Karen is in like the gas station or whatever, and there's a woman. You don't really know what's happening,
yes.
but just out of nowhere, she's
God.
like, "Go back to Mexico," right?
Yep.
And then goes and. Mate, I do not know what's going through these women's heads or how they've kind of grown up or how their family treats them, that they think out in the world that they can just go and put their hands on someone else. And you know, she gets slapped. Yeah. It's brilliant. But the husband comes out afterwards, right? And of course, yeah. So this is what I'm asking you. Of course, he says, like, this is completely out of character for her. Like, you know, she's not like this. I don't know what happens. And my gut instinct is like, oh, shut up, mate. Like, of course it's not. Like, she's racist through and through. But what's scarier, bro, is that just like the woman in the park, what if they're not like that, like usually? Yeah. And then when push comes to shove and there's a little bit of pressure being applied on them, you know, they snap and it all comes out. Yeah. That's scary to me.
I have
because that's very hidden.
What if all this time Hellman's has been hiding racism in their mayonnaise?
Jay, this is why I love you, mate. Like, fucking, I'm the white man out of the two of us, right? And I feel like, yeah, that was a great point. That was a great point. Well understood, Jimmy. And then you just demolish it with the mayonnaise.
I'm just a theory. It's a theory. No, to actually answer, you know, man, I think that one of the weirdest things that's been happening for our country, and again, I alluded to it earlier, is the fact that there are people who don't understand how deep-seated and deep-rooted some of their bias and prejudice is. I'm not going to call it straight-up racism immediately, right? I think that there are people who have these implicit and inherent biases that they don't get, and they're like microaggressions or microtransgressions, right? Like seeing someone in a hood and crossing the street because you're like, that person's probably gonna rob me. Like clutching your purse tighter, or, you know, not wanting to sit at this place, locking your doors when you go through certain neighborhoods. And I think that like in their mind, they're not being racist, right? They've seen the news, they've read the newspaper, they know what happens in some of these areas. They know what this sort of music means. And like, you know, for them, they're like, no. Like I voted for Obama. I love Oprah. Denzel Washington's my favorite actor. I love Idris Elba. He's so sexy. Right? Like it's like those people who like are like, oh my God, like Drake is like the best rapper ever. I can't believe. And then like something happens and they go, oh, I didn't even know that I had that in me. And there's a school of thought that's like, haha, I got you, racist, you racist. And then there are the people who are like, whoa, okay, hold on. Let's break down, like, where are you from? How'd you grow up? What were you taught? Like, can you know, there's a story that's been making the rounds on social media about Dave Chappelle. I don't know if you've seen this.
I haven't, mate. Fill me in.
Right. So someone talked about, there was like this comedy club, and I'm gonna butcher where it was. He was in New York, and Chappelle was in New York doing SNL when Kevin Hart was hosting, but Chappelle like showed up on stage, right? And so Chappelle shows up at this random nightclub. They don't know if he's gonna like want to do a set, but he does, and he's killing because he was Dave Chappelle. And they're saying, he's like, you know, give me a topic, and people are throwing out random topics, and he has an answer for everything. He's just crushing it. And then someone throws out police brutality. And this is a while ago, like right after Eric Garner. So he's like just riffing on what's happening with Eric Garner, and like mentions all these other people that got killed. Mentions the brother Crawford the Third. Okay, his first name escaping me, but like he was a guy who was walking around a Walmart with like a BB gun. Yeah, and right. Someone called the cops and was like, he's pointing the gun at people, and the cop came in and shot him. Didn't do a freeze or put the gun down, shot him right away. And that didn't even garner their attention. And so he was talking about it, and this person like said something that was like, well, like, you know, we don't know if he deserved it or something, like something that was like super racist, like suck the air out of the room. And a lot of people, again, would be like racist, but instead Chappelle was like, well, let me explain to you something, and goes through systemic racism, oppression, in like a fun Dave Chappelle kind of way, and then, you know, kind of like wraps up. And so apparently after the show, one of like the people who's like a handler is like, hey, this woman wants to come back here and talk to you, and everyone's like, oh no, forget that lady. And Chappelle's like, no, send her back in. She comes in with her friend, and she's like, hey, I'm super sorry about my comment earlier. Like, I really didn't like realize what was going on, but like, I appreciate you like putting me on a game. And effectively Chappelle was like, look, you know, you started off as like part of the problem, but if you can take what you heard today and like tell some other people around you, like you become part of the solution. And then he like gave her a hug and took a picture with her. And that's, again, that sounds very Full House, very step by step, very like cheesy, you know, like very wah, wah, like fun family music ending. But in all honesty, like that's part of how this happens, right? Like, which is why like for me, like I can't be like, oh man, all white people are nothing. I don't know all white people. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. I know that there's some people who are horrible people, and there's some folks who are dope people. And like, I hope that, you know, when push comes to shove, when these things happen, when the revolution continues, when the uprising keeps going, that there are people who I've met along the way who are standing by my side, who are going to ride this out with me, whether they're black or whatever, because like they want to see a better future for their kids, for themselves, for whoever, you know. Those Karens, you know, again, I jumped on the bandwagon too and was like, oh man, those both racist. I don't know those ladies' stories. You know, I hope that this situation and the pseudo celebrity life they now have influences them in the best way, and that they make some changes. Yeah, you know, that's the goal.
No, for real, man. And look, we definitely live in a time as well where, whether it's kind of justly or not, if you fuck up, you like, it's cancel culture, right? So people are getting, you know, people are doing dumb shit, and sometimes it's just dumb, other times it's really serious, but the consequences are like really severe. But I understand that, man, and the consequences are nowhere near as severe as like having the life squeezed out of you by a policeman. So, you know, it's like it ain't that tough, maybe. But bro, I'm completely with you, man. And again, like, there has to be some kind of element of maybe not compassion, but understanding if we want to at some point progress and move forwards. And look, again, I don't think, you know, if people that look like you, have been for fucking years and years and years getting so poorly treated and killed, I totally get it if you're like, no, fuck that, no compassion, no, I don't give a shit, like, I just hate these people. You know, I would fully understand that. But I think it is, man, it's like people are taught this stuff. Racist people are really misguided. So unless we do just, you know, seriously just want to wait for them all to die, I guess that it's like, well, how is there anything that can be done? And you know, it shouldn't be Dave Chappelle's responsibility the whole time. Although if he was the teacher, mate, I'd be following him around like, come on, what we doing next? Just tell me what to do. It's definitely everyone's responsibility, but yeah, you know, it's either got to wait for racists to die and hope we don't, or like, you know, make a concerted effort not to create any new ones, or, as you're saying, are there people who aren't beyond saving? You know, and you might be able to show them a little, you know, the light a little bit, like Dave Chappelle seemed to do with that woman who came backstage. You know, it seems, and I don't know the whole story, but it seems as if maybe she did have a little bit of an epiphany.
No.
You know, so
I just feel like some of the stuff that we like focus on, like, especially when it comes to like racism, is so funny because it's like, imagine if aliens came tomorrow, and like in 2020, aliens might come tomorrow, right? Like, it could be like a very real thing.
mate, have you been looking at the schedule? Because you know that, is that what's happening in July?
In July, yeah, it's the aliens, and then I think Godzilla, and then I think the natural disasters. All I know is that December, when Bobby Shmurda comes out and the asteroid hits, it's lit. I know that.
Look, mate, these ones, to be honest, sound a lot more fun than pandemics and racism. So
yes, very true.
So I'll take Godzilla, mate. I can't wait for him or her or whatever his pronouns are.
That's true. Them Godzilla.
I think Godzilla's pronouns would definitely be them, because...
Oh, no question. Godzilla's pronouns can be whatever the fuck Godzilla wants.
Yeah, that's true, mate. It's absolutely true. But sorry, what was your point?
No, but the point of, like, if aliens came down and they were like, hey, human, so explain, you know, this other human to me. And you were like, oh, I don't like that human. And they were like, what do you mean? And you're like, well, because of the color of their skin. I just imagine the alien being like, bro, what? Like, that's the thing you focused on?
Yeah, right.
Come on. You know, like, that to me is like just a test of like how like trivial and silly it all is.
It's so dumb, innit?
It's
so fucking dumb. Even if it's like, but he's into all the same shit you are. Supports the same teams.
Right.
You know what I mean? So similar to you. You got so much to talk about. Yeah, but it's the colour. Can't get over it. I prefer this guy over here who's white. It's a complete prick. Have nothing in common. But we look kind of similar.
Sir, what's your name? It's Jonathan. Hey, buddy, what's your name? You have the same name. You're literally the same person. Nope. That guy's black. Can't do it.
Bro, as well. And I think about this sometimes, man. If you are really racist, like, what is the end goal? Because if you got your way and you just lived in a world where everyone is exactly the same as you, more or less, you know what I mean? Like, what, you just eating the same food, do you know what I mean? Watching the same movies, looking at the same art that's made with the same kind of drive because it's all the fucking same. You don't even want that. You just
imagine like a world of like just pick any race where it's just that all the time.
They would 100%. They get bored and be like, oh, fuck, we fucked that up, man.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm 100%. Like, I'm just gonna, and this goes actually the opposite of what I just said. Like, so like, let's go like full Black Panther, Wakanda. Wakanda's dope. Like, I just feel like a world of just all black things, fire. You know what I mean? Music, amazing. Food, dope. Fashion, great. Scholars, got them. You know, just saying.
You know what? You're right.
Jimmy, if you want to come to Wakanda, bro, I got you, bro. You can come.
But that's the difference, mate. I feel like I'd be welcome there, man. They'd be like, Jimmy is funny as fuck. You know what I mean? That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean, that literally happened in the movie. So yeah, that's that's pretty much that.
Oh yeah, who goes there? I'd be Martin Freeman.
Short. Yeah, Martin Freeman. Martin Short. Martin Short would be way different in that movie. Martin Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Fucking hell, Che. Fucking hell. Bro, we should talk about it, but let's pivot. Bit of art.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't really want to pivot because I remembered one more story. Did you hear about, which is a kind of segue into art, let's call it that.
Okay.
Microsoft's email to an artist that I think we know, Chantel. I don't know her, and I've forgotten her name, but it's Chantel someone.
Yeah, Chantel Martin.
Chantel Martin, right. Yeah. So, yeah, this as well, because brands, man, you know, brands are getting called out as well. So Chantel Martin received an email, and I'm trying to remember this. She received an email from maybe it wasn't Microsoft. It was a Microsoft job, but it was from McCann, the agency.
Yeah. And
they were basically like, you know, we want to give you an opportunity to like paint a mural and support you painting a mural around the kind of Black Lives Matter conversation.
Yeah.
And then it was, what did they say? They go, oh yeah, but we got to do it quickly while the protests are still relevant.
Still relevant, yeah.
Bro.
Yep.
And they got
Yep.
put on blast, man. But
Yep.
like, you know, rightly so, right?
Well, first and foremost, whoever wrote that email should get fired immediately, right? Because even like that's just not a tactical email. That's a horrible email. But let's say that really was your sentiment, right? Like people, one, I'm happy. First of all, shout to Chantel for calling them out on that. I think a lot of artists say like same like I would have called them out too. I know a lot of people that would have just taken the money and made it work. To be honest, it is what it is, right? I'm not gonna knock how you make your money.
Very true.
But what I loved about it was, one, not only did she reaffirm that like she's in demand, people love her work, she's a great artist, but she also reaffirmed that like she's not going to allow people to call this a fly-by-night thing, and she's not going to accept the pity party that so many companies are throwing for themselves, right? Like so many people now are contacting Black artists that they never heard of before, and are contacting Black musicians, and are giving that person who should have gotten the promotion the sort of seat at the table because they're Black, and going, hey, so like we want you to be part of this senior leadership team. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't want to look racist. And like
checking the boxes.
Yeah, and like that, and that's not good either. Because you know what? You know what's worse than not having a Black person in the room or not giving a Black person an opportunity? Having a Black person in the room that has no voice and giving someone an opportunity because it is the flavor of the month or relevant.
Yeah.
There's no place for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, man. I do. And mate, I'm also seeing those well, like, you know, brands or accounts on social media that like usually, yeah, they come with this flavor, this personality, like all their posts, their personality. And now what they're doing is shining a light on like Black artists or Black designers, whatever it is, but something the personality sucked out. It's like a Wikipedia. Here is the artist and here's a few things about them. And it's like, this to me, you know, it's like box checking. Where is the authenticity there? Me and you were talking about this as well before, because obviously you know you're Secret Wars family, and we host together and we work together on Secret Wars. But we were kind of talking about, like, you know, Secret Wars in the conversation. What can Secret Wars do, and what have we been doing, and what can we continue to do? And for me, you know, and the team and you, the answer is like, authenticity has to be genuine. I don't want to work with Black artists because they're Black, or Asian artists because they're Asian and it, you know, it looks good and you know we get some diversity on the Instagram. I want to work with different people with different cultural backgrounds, different sexual preferences, different outlooks on life, because they've had different experiences, because it just makes life richer, better, more creative. You know, it's what we were saying, man. If I'm just walking into a room with a bunch of artists that all look like me, grew up how I did, all I'm doing is going, all right, guys, I've got an idea. What do you think about this? Everyone's like, love it.
Yeah.
All right, cool, done. All right, see you all tomorrow. You know, it's boring as fuck, man. So I don't know what you think about that, mate, but that's kind of, yes, what I'm seeing. It's like, let's not focus on just, oh, we got to do the right thing, you know, in quotes, do the right thing. This is what we should be doing. Realize that this really is what life's about. You know what I mean? Like do it for real fucking reasons, because we want things to be more creative, better, more fun, you know?
And the other side of that too is that like you got to think about from an artist standpoint, right? If you are an artist, a muralist, a graphic designer, a person who has your own fashion label, and you've been making it, people see you as talented, people see you as dope, people love your stuff, and then some random big brand says, we love this person because they're dope, because yada yada. And then the next thing they post is someone not as talented, and like you know, objectively, it's like not on that caliber. And they're like, well, this person is as dope just because they're Black. That's also a discredit to all the work you've done as a person who's put in work and made things happen, right? Like, and again, not gonna knock anyone's opportunities or money. Like, cool. Like, I'm happy that they're showing more diversity, but also like, please try to be authentic or be, you know, knowledgeable about what you're posting. Don't just post somebody because they check this one box and they're not up to whatever sort of standard as far as like talent, years in the game, all of that together, experience. You know, I think that all plays into the role of a creative, whether you're a visual artist, a musician, or whatever, right? Imagine, you know, someone posting Jay-Z, and then the next post is someone who hasn't put out a project yet, who has one song, and the song is absolute trash. And they're like, but it's a black guy, so like, you know, it's good. Like you don't want that either.
Yeah, no, of course, man. It's completely counterproductive, and I think, you know, yeah, that's what we're really trying to focus on going forward. It's like focus on the reality of it, and the reality is that we are an art brand. And we were talking about this as well. I think that's the shame of it, man. It's like when you see a creative brand on Instagram just kind of like fucking it up, doing the least, or just, you know, just not it's just not the one. It's a missed opportunity, because I really do think that creative brands, you know, people should be looking to us to you know, to be the influence to the more kind of straight-laced brands, you know, and especially brands that work with artists, man. It's so easy to just do, you know, just work with everyone and lift people up in an authentic way.
Man, I want people to one, do right by their community, but also, like, you know, do right by like, to be selling like my community, you know what I mean? Like Issa Rae from the show Insecure, amongst a variety of things, such talent. She got a lot of people who weren't aware, like, knew her shirt when she wore a shirt that was like, I'm rooting for everybody black. And it's like, always, like, that's the sentiment, like that's what it has to be, because of how systemically and systematically oppressed we are as a people. And in the same token, I'm like, I also just want dope people to win. You know what I mean? And that's to be honest, that's a line I think a lot of people have to balance, right? Like I could, you know, you Secret Walls and through the work I've got to do with Paolo and such, like there's so many talented artists of color and black artists. And I've heard horror stories from other projects where they're like, hey, they want me to do a collab with this other black artist because they're both black. And I'm like, you know them? And they're like, nah. I'm like, you ever had a conversation? Nope. They just know that we both have the same skin tone, so they assume we can work together. And it's like, come on, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. But I believe that, you know, with what's happening outside in the streets right now, I hope that people do better, and I hope that people like Chantel and, you know, other people that have platforms, you know, do better. And again, shout to Chantel. And shout to Nina Chanel, and shout to Upendo and Max and Sydney and Detour, and like all those folks that are out there banging walls and crushing it, and just and putting on for us and painting people who look like us on walls. Because it's nice to see 30-story young black kids or whatever, you know, doing their things.
Yeah, mate, no, definitely, man. And I think, yeah, again, shouts to all those, and Chantel as well, because I think the only way that like brands are gonna learn, like, you know, like everyone else, like actual people, I think is if you know, they're kind of exposed a little bit. And I think, dude, it's really interesting as well, man, because I think as brands start to get exposed, what we're really maybe going to start to see is when brands don't really have a purpose beyond just like generating profit by shifting units. You know, if there's no real purpose beyond that, I think they're going to start to scramble, Jay. You know, they're going to start to scramble and be like, they're going to probably be the ones that are the most likely to just panic and make a rash move, you know, and start emailing black artists that they need to do their black mural super quick because it's relevant right now, you know? And in a fucked up way, I mean, it's not a good thing. That's the wrong way to describe it, but it's a necessary thing is maybe a better way to describe it. Because, again, man, talking about this overarching idea of the whole fucking thing collapsing and whether that I don't think it needs to be burnt to the ground. We can use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and just take it down gently. But it's all part of it, man. And I think over the next few years, maybe that is what we're going to see. You know, these brands that do nothing other than generate profit by selling people shit that they've, you know, tricked into thinking, you know, or scared into thinking they need, might start to disappear like the Minneapolis Police Department.
And if they don't, we can pull out our giant robots and those will take care of them.
Dude, the giant fucking robot, man. I mean, I love the giant robot idea. I mean, that was when we were talking another time about voting and like voting versus not voting.
Exactly.
And you know, to Che's point, which is a brilliant point, it's like you can't just be like, nah, I'm not taking part in that. I'm not voting. I'm not taking part because the whole system is shit, and then do nothing. So we decided, right, that if you don't vote and you do nothing, that's just, you're not doing anything. It's a waste of time. If you actively don't vote, you have to start building a giant robot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. And to be fair, your giant robot has to be giant compared to you, right? So let's say you're like, I really want to build a giant triceratops robot. That's cool. That's your thing, right? But don't be surprised when the government comes back with its own giant robot, because you know that we have an amazing military budget. So we've been waiting for someone to have a robot all these years.
Yeah.
And then we're going to pull out a robot, and then you have to get, like 4 or 5 of your friends and hope that your robot can come together and form a larger robot to fight the government robot.
Dude, I'm just thinking as well, I'm so glad that you qualified what the fuck I was talking about, because up until that point, I just said that if you don't vote, just build a giant robot. And left it at that. Obviously, right, what we meant is you got to build that giant robot that is capable of tearing down, the system. The system.
Right.
But as Che said, man, you just know that. I reckon do you reckon the government's already got like a robot waiting?
Oh, bro, we got a robot for each branch of the government. We got a Navy robot that's good in the water. We got the Air Force robot that flies like Starscream from Transformers.
Space Force robot.
The Space Force robot is like still under construction, but like just wait. Just you wait. We have an Army robot that has the coolest guns.
The Space Force robot is powered by a shitload of Tesla batteries.
Yeah, so it's really quiet. You just don't know when it's coming up on you.
Mate, and you know who had to bloody mine the fucking the components to go in those batteries, right?
Elon Musk.
No, all the people that are oppressed in the other countries that we're trying to fight for with our robot.
Yeah. Or Elon Musk. I'm just throwing it out there. He strikes me the kind of guy who's like, I'm bored. Let me go mind my own shit.
What do you think of Elon Musk?
I think that he named his baby the cheat code from.
When he named his baby, it was like
up, down, left, right, A, B, A, B, select, start. Yeah.
I just say up, down, down.
But I mean,
do you think Elon Musk is that? I think I'm smarter than Elon Musk.
I think Elon Musk is just so rich that he can do what he wants.
I don't find him that smart, man. Everyone's like, oh God, he's so smart.
Yeah.
Okay, look, he is probably like smart, like can figure stuff out. But just as a complete human being, he doesn't seem that smart to me, man, because his ideas to me of the stuff that he wants to do, but the Teslas are pretty cool, but most of the other shit, it just seems a bit dumb to me.
I don't think it's dumb. I think Elon Musk has become the expert at dropping an idea that people want to hear, but never delivering on it. Like he's like NASA, right? Like NASA is always like, hey, did you know we found a planet the same size and shape of Earth that can sustain life? And you're like, and they're like, hopefully we can get to it by 2122. And it's like, we're all dead by then. No one knows what's going on. It just sounds cool. Elon Musk is like,
you just say whatever you want, don't you?
Yeah,
You just literally.
Elon Musk is like, hey, you like taking the train? And people are like, eh. And he's like, what if you could take a train from LA to DC in 20 minutes? And people are like, whoa, how you do that? And he's like, Hyperloop. And you're like, okay, Hyperloop. What exactly is that? And he's like, you can go from LA to DC in 20 minutes. And you're like, right, but what is that? And he's like, Hyperloop. That's it. He just talks in circles, and people are just like, dude, Musk is the best.
That's all you need to do, mate. So can we not just go on Joe Rogan and do the same thing and just be like, dude, giant fucking robot?
Well, no, because here's the difference. Elon Musk is worth like $40 billion or something. We would first have to get the $40 billion, and then we can say giant robot. See, that it's like in South Park where it was like, step 1, steal underpants. Step 3, make profit. We need to figure out what step 2 is for us.
Get the 40 billion, mate. This is another reason why we need to dismantle everything.
Right, exactly. If we break it down, then we can build giant robots, or we can build giant robots and then take it down. Then we're the cool guys with giant robots.
What if we build like a robot that's pretty big but not giant, with the sole intention of like destroying Elon Musk, and then
ooh, a Musk bot. Okay.
and then
Okay.
taking his, how much has he got?
I feel like it's like 40 billion, but I could be making that up. You know who would totally help us build the Elon Musk robot?
Gone.
Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He'd be down.
Steve Jobs would probably as well if he was around.
Yeah.
Who's
yeah.
who's the new Apple guy?
Tim Cook.
Tim Cook.
Yeah, not as cool. He doesn't wear black turtlenecks, so whatever.
But you see, he might be down.
He might. I don't know. I just feel like, you know what? Maybe we're thinking too small. Maybe we should go after Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, man, definitely. I feel like if me, you, or just you on your own and Jeff Bezos were at a party, we could definitely just make him feel like not quite as cool as us, and be like, oh yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board with the plan.
Yeah. So Jeff, what are you doing over there? Counting your $200 million. Just looking stupid, counting your $200 million. Cool. Can I have some money? No, whatever. You suck, Jeff. That's how I imagine the conversation going.
And then he'd be like, guys, come back.
And then we're like, what, really? And he's like, no, get out of here.
Jay, mate, we've tumbled down a tangent wrapped in a rabbit hole.
That's true. We have.
And I don't know where we've ended up. So what I'm going to do is bring it back into the realms of, sort of normality, and maybe how long have we done, Emmett? Emmett's just sitting behind me, or Booger. Hour and 15. All right. Well, look, mate. Do you know what I want to talk about? A little bit of food and convo.
Squat.
You up for that?
Yeah, man. Shout to Clyde and Amy, and shout to Chris and Joe and George and Manny. Yeah, squat. Marley, Eddie. It's amazing how like
you
many
get
people.
Me on there, right? Yeah,
oh, dude.
I was just waiting for you to stop thinking, when do I ask him?
Well, nah, man. It's Food and Convo. So for anyone that doesn't know, Food and Convo is a new project that I got to make with a few of my good friends, where we're finding ways to bring people together over meals and over great conversation. We're all music fans, all art fans. We're all fans of just culture in general, and so trying to find ways for people to interact and engage over a meal, which is one of the easiest ways to break down barriers. And so we got to host one event. We were gonna do multiple events throughout the year, but we took over an ice cream shop, and we built a half pipe in an ice cream shop. And for one night only, we had these two special flavors. One made with cereal milk, tastes like Fruity Pebbles. The other was made with this really cool coconut stout beer. And you can come in, you can skate, you can have some ice cream. We had a DJ spinning. And the only way to know about this event was if you got sent the flyer, like old school party style. So you had to show the flyer at the door to get in. And it was dope. It was a great time. It's called One Night Only. We have a series of events called One Night Only because they're one night only. That kind of explains itself. But since COVID, we've been having these Zoom calls where it's been like the closest thing. One person said it was the closest thing she felt like she got to going out for a night with her friends, because you kind of get this invite and it's going to be you and up to 8 different people, and you don't really know who's going to be on beforehand, like the day of. And then we just all have either the same meal, or we send you a special dish that you prepare for yourself, and we just vibe out and talk about whatever something that's going on in the community. Sometimes it's mental health and wellness. Sometimes it's, the Black Lives Matter movement. Sometimes we talk to this entire rap group about what they're doing and what's going on in the music industry. And one time we just sent everybody this super spicy ramen and watched people freak out over eating it. So we're going to have Jimi
on purpose.
Oh, totally. It was great. It was amazing to see people just like, I need milk. this is insane. But Jimmy, we got you coming up.
You got to get me on, right? That's what I was going to say, man.
Yes, sir.
But dude, when I go on, I love everything about Food and Convo. I think it's brilliant and it sounds really positive and lovely. But I quite fancy going on with like the wildest bunch of people, mate. Can it not be like a special episode where, I don't know, man, I don't know who we could have in there, but just fucking wild people. Elon Musk could be one person.
It is going to be you, Elon Musk, Wee Man from Jackass, Lush from Australia, Ja Rule, because his opinion matters.
And what about, we need a Karen, mate. Can we have one of the Karens from...
Oh, yeah, true. That's true. You need one of the Karens. I don't know if you saw My favorite meme right now is that Karen is a Pokemon that evolved from Becky that then becomes a Susan. And I have laughed at that for like hours over the last few days.
You need
So,
to send me that, man. I mean,
I will.
I was just looking at Karen's Going Wild, the account on IG.
Yeah, yeah.
But to be real honest with you, man, it's like it's taken a hit on quality in the last like few weeks. There's a lot more ads and a lot less authentic Karening.
Karens.
What do we call it? Karen activity.
Karen activity.
It's like paranormal activity.
Imagine waking up in the middle of the night and at the foot of your bed is just a Karen.
Mate, I can't lie. I'd kind of love it. I kind of love it, man. It's just I love watching those videos, mate. I know that like sometimes maybe people have mental health issues and maybe their outlook on life is really fucked up and damaging to other people and the people around them. I understand all that, mate. But still it just cracks me up, man. And I just sit there going, this is a bit of harmless fun, you know. It's so different as well because like when it's a dude, so often that kind of shit just escalates into like horrific violence, you know. But with the Karens,
you never know.
They just get fucking slapped.
You
Bang.
never know if they get slapped. Sometimes they just get told off. Sometimes they call the cops. You never know.
I just look like, to me, most of the time, mate, it just looks like the like, you know, back in their houses, they're just like bossing their kids around, yeah, and their kids are terrified of them, never saying anything. So then they go out into the world thinking, well, I really am the queen of everything. You know, if I say something, people listen, and no one talks back to me. And then they go and tell a random woman in a gas station to go back to Mexico, and they get clapped.
Back to Mexico, which is so weird.
Yeah. She doesn't even live. She's probably never even been.
No,
she's like, where the fuck am I?
What's happening here? What is cervezas? What do you mean? It's amazing.
Jay, mate, I fucking love you, bro. And
love you too, man.
I miss you, mate. And I hope that you come to LA real soon.
Oh yeah.
And then I will steal your passport, so you can't go back.
We need to make sure that when I go out there, we host the greatest Secret Walls battle of all time.
Dude, you know what? We haven't even talked. Me and Shay, man. Some of the hosting experiences that we have had are incredible, and I think it was so annoying. We were literally we've both hosted Secret Wars battles ourselves on our own, you know, for ages, right? Yeah. But together, it was only really in the last year, I think, like 2019, we were really getting somewhere, man.
I think it's like we got a career cut too short by COVID because COVID knew that what was going to happen was going to be epic, you know. But when we're back, hashtag Short Boys is going to be something. We got to get some Short Boys merch. That's what we need. That's what the streets want.
Definitely, mate. We can easily sort that out.
Yeah, we need that.
We'll get the Short Boys merch. Get thinking of all the crazy things that we can do on stage, and the foot races, the arm wrestling, the pudding wrestling.
Yeah, I want to get 2 ice luges on stage, and whichever beer sponsor we have, we're gonna pour the beer on the ice luge, and whoever finishes it without spilling the least amount of beer, they get a Secret Walls prize pack.
It's easy, mate. It's low cost. They actually cost quite a lot, those ice sculptures.
All right. We're gonna have Booger and another person from Secret Walls bend over. We're gonna pour the beer down their back, and then the people just have to wait for it.
No one's gonna go anywhere near any beer that's anywhere near someone called Booger.
Or everyone's gonna want it.
Yeah,
Booger beer. Mate. Think about that. Booger beer. It has a ring to it.
You're right, bro. We live in fucked up times.
It has a ring to it. Here's my second and last idea. Secret Wall scavenger hunt.
Go on.
So the battle starts, and we tell people that
everyone leaves.
We tell people that hidden somewhere amongst the stuff is a key, and everyone's going crazy, looking around. Where's this key at? Where's the key? Oh man, I can't find the key. Then finally, you find the key, but the question is, what does it open? Right? And then Terry shows that he actually has a tattoo of a keyhole on his back. And as you fast approach him to place the key into the keyhole, Terry turns around and gives you your present. Boom.
Wow.
That's
That's
that.
so Terry needs to get a tattoo of a keyhole.
Yeah, but that's a small thing, right? You're missing the big picture here.
No, he's got to do it.
Turns
I mean, it's
around,
part of the idea.
present.
It's great.
Exactly.
It's good. He has to do it. He'll
Exactly.
be on board because it's part of the idea. It's a
Right.
sequel's idea. What we'll do, mate, we'll put it in a deck and
Yeah,
we'll present it to him in a PDF because he'll love that, and then he'll be like,
Right.
brilliant.
Should we address it to Terry, or should we finally start calling him by his real name?
What's his real name?
Everyone knows that Terry's name is Territory. So that's his actual name.
Territory.
That he's Territory Guy. The whole world knows that.
Territory Guy. Mate, I don't think we even need to. I'm the creative director of the brand. I'll sign it off.
Okay, perfect.
So I've signed off the key tattoo, and that's that.
Good. For Territory Guy.
Territory Guy.
Okay. Fair.
All right, mate. I think that's a great place to leave it, bro. Dude, just think where we started, Che. Just think where we started and where we ended up. And to be honest, mate, that I suspect, even though it wasn't really planned, that I think is why we started where we did. Because if me and you talk enough, we're always going to end up here.
That's true. We'll always end up with Territory Guy. It's a good point.
I mean, I'm confused now, mate. I'm just going to go to bed, I think.
I'm going to go write a paper because that's all I do now.
Mate, good luck with that. You need to write that paper. You need to complete that course you're doing. You need to get that degree or whatever they give you for it. And then you need to just politely slip out the back door of Worcester, come to Los Angeles, throw your passport in that Bristol River with that fucking statue, and just call it a day.
I only if you promise to get me some food from the spot next to Start, because that food is amazing and I miss it so much.
Oh yeah, big up. Oh fuck, Emmett, what's the spot called there? El Salsador. Salsador.
El Salsador is a great name.
We'll call it. We're a brand of the people, and we're cultured. You can never say that. We'll go through the Salsador.
If there isn't a restaurant already named El Salsador, we gotta make that happen. That is good.
It's El Salsador.
Ah, that's not as cool. El Salsador is great.
Yeah, the Salsador is amazing, man. I think I'm gonna get our designer Ryan to knock up some branding and just go in there and be like, right, creative director, this has been signed off. This is a rebrand. You are now the Salsador.
El Salsador, that's good.
And when you walk in, mate, you know what happens, man.
Oh yeah,
just like time. In them old game shows. This just instead of slime from the ceiling, it's salsa.
Oh, so
good. Through the Salsador.
That'd be so good. I need that.
All right, mate, jump on a plane and let us know when I need to pick you up from LAX.
That's a plan.
Peace.
See you. Squat.